Hello, technology enthusiasts, project leaders, and welcome to another edition of the Technology Project Accelerator. Really appreciate you for joining me today. I always like to highlight that technology projects are not always easy, but they should be straightforward. So, goal of these sessions is to simplify complexity, accelerate your technology projects so you can scale your business. And on each episode, we teach you how to scale your business with technology. And last week, I talked about hiring your dream team. So this week, I want to dig a bit deeper into leading your team and how to better lead your own team so you can get a high performing team. And this is actually a key step of one of my technology accelerator programs, which I'll just show you quickly here. So you'll see here, number 4 is align your team. That's actually a key step within the 9-step technology accelerator, because without the team, you don't have a good technology solution. The team is really, really important to making sure that you deliver your project successfully. So what we're going to do today is actually just deep dive into that and get into a bit more of the leading your project team and how to get the best from them based on what I've learned over my 25 odd years of leading technology projects. When I say it out loud, 25 years sounds such a long time, but yeah, hopefully I can share some learnings with you folks, and also feel free to jump in with questions. I'm just monitoring the chat here. I have a couple of questions that were sent in advance. So what I'll do is I'll make sure I answer those questions as we go through this session. But just while we're waiting to get started with some questions coming in, what I'm going to do now is just move to the next key topic. So one second, just while I get organized here. So what we're going to talk about next is how you set up your team for success. So the key part of leading your team is, when you are working with them, is to make sure they have the right experience and the right expectations. So let's dig into that in a bit more detail. The first thing is around onboarding. I've seen this so many times when we're rushing through the hiring process, and then we bring in people and expect them to just go and deliver straight away. And there are some good people out there who will jump in and get stuff done very, very quickly. But there always needs to be this onboarding to set them up in the right way. And some of the key points around onboarding are, you're giving them how things work around here. This is the tone, the culture, who to speak to, who are the players that they need to interact with. So it's not about the technology project, although that's very important. It's more about how things get done in this company, this team, this environment. What is your new team member walking into? What are they picking up? What do they have to be aware of? So, for example, when I'm coming into new projects, either to accelerate them, pick them up, or rescue them, a number of questions I ask are around, okay, I need to meet each of the sponsors, the business stakeholders, the technology sponsors, the team, and I get feedback from every single one of them saying what's working, what's not working, what do we need to fix, so I can do my own understanding of how we get this project back on track and kicked off as quickly as possible. So this onboarding process, give your new team member some opportunity to ask questions, give them an overview of the project, the scope, the goals, the deadlines. What is this technology trying to achieve? What's the solution and the outcomes that the project's aiming to do? And more importantly, who's the team? Who are they working with? And then we get into the next point, which is around the common goal. So when you're bringing someone on and making sure you lead your team, you want to make sure they have the very specific goal to work towards, not only for the new team member, but also the project as a whole. So this is very making sure you have a clarity around, what is the project success? What does success look like for not only the project, but also the team? Are they going to learn new skills coming out of this? Are they going to help the company be more efficient? Are they going to ultimately improve customer service or make a process easier to work with? It might be a back end upgrade like a firewall or some databases, but even those have some outcome, some either savings in time, which make it easier for someone to do their job, or even if it's just catching up on licenses, it ultimately makes it more supportable. So it saves less problems being called later on, which saves everyone time. So point number 2, that always be clear on exactly the goals that the project is working towards, to make sure that they're clear on what they're doing. And that then leads into their third point here, which is their defined roles and responsibilities in the team. And that's really important because not only are they coming in with their expectations, you need to show where they sit within the organization of the project team. So bringing in new technology integrator, here's your role around integrating the technologies together or developing the solution. Here's the test lead that you're going to interact with. Here's the business people you're going to interact with. Here are the business users. Here's the point contact there. And not only articulate their roles and responsibilities, but also articulate the roles of everyone else on the team as well. So again, they know where they're fitting in to your project team. So get part of building on so once they've gone through the onboarding, they know about the project, they know the goal, then what are they accountable for delivery? And that's when you define these roles in the team for everyone. Then point number 4 is then a platform for communication. So always want to give people different methods of raising concerns, questions. People communicate in different ways. Some people like to, are very text-based, like to use emails and chat. Some people are very conversational. So what I always like to do is give people different opportunities to raise questions, get feedback. And that's a combination of one-on-one meetings, team town halls, status meetings, anonymous feedback surveys. And I do these regularly. This is not a one and done. Newsletters are another way as well. So it's a combination of push communications and also pull communications to get information and updates from the team. And set up these so that the team can be honest and open with each other, either in a group environment. So there's never a wrong question to ask, and in terms of what people want to get information about, but also give them one-on-one time as well. So you can have time with them to understand what their dreams, ambitions, goals, frustrations are working on the project or in general, because knowing what they are means you can deal with them and make them develop and ultimately deliver a better technology solution. So again, give different ways to communicate. I always like to bring in a communication specialist to my teams. I've learned a lot around communication, but a lot around the change management communication is a specialist skill. And I like to always bring that role onto the team to not only give that expertise on the project, but also give me a second set of eyes. And sometimes I'm very focused on the goal, and I always like to have someone to give me a sense check in terms of, am I driving the team too hard? Have I missed something around the technology solution? Have I not reached out to a stakeholder recently? So having people give me feedback is a key point around making sure that we as a team ultimately perform better. And then the 5th point around setting up your team for success is development opportunities. So this is making sure that they have career progression, they're learning, and also getting new information to work with. So the thing love about technology projects is you're always learning something new. Sometimes it feels frustrating, but the thing about technology is it's generally new solutions that we've never done before. So every opportunity, every project is an opportunity to learn something new, do something different, learn a new skill. Even when it's older technology that we're catching up, it's still new and still has a value out there either with the company, the client, or in the marketplace. So reinforcing that, because especially on high pressure, tight deadline projects, a lot of the folks might get frustrated, think this is not a good place to work because they're under a lot of pressure. But even that in itself can be career building, or is career building, because they're learning new ways of working, learning how to delegate, how to prioritize, how to better manage time. So that's why I love technology projects, because every single one of them is an opportunity to learn new ways of doing things, because they're unique and they always bring their different set of challenges every time. So those are the 5 steps, making sure you set up and lead your team for success. And just to recap, it's onboarding them in the right way, setting expectations up front, having people aligned to that common goal. What is the outcome of the project? Make sure you know that, so you can then articulate that or share that with your team and the person coming on board. Make sure you have clearly defined roles and responsibilities for everyone, not just the new person, but also what they're coming into. Is everyone clear on what they're doing and who else is doing what? Give them opportunities to communicate. Give them different platforms, be it individual or in group settings, and like I said, anonymous feedback surveys also a great way to get some feedback from the team. And also development opportunities, making sure that they're learning, they're developing, they're not getting bored and stale. Huge amount of opportunities in every technology project to give someone additional opportunities to develop with either team leading, team management, and also the technical skills as well, to helping them with different aspects of the technology project delivery. So that's the first key set of points that I wanted to share in terms of leading your team and setting up them for success. So next, I'm actually going to flip it a little bit and actually move it into what I like to. I came across the other day, and I like this a lot because it comes across as it makes the point around the 5 dysfunctions of a team. So these are the 5 things that will make a team dysfunctional. So as a leader, how do you make sure you get those solved and addressed properly, so then you can lead your team in the right way? So I'm just going to run through the 5, and then we'll deep dive into each one of them. So the first of the 5 dysfunctions of a team that Patrick Lencioni called out are absence of trust, the inattention to team results, the avoiding accountability, lack of commitment, and finally, the fear of conflict. So let's break these down and go through them one by one. Let's zoom in on, so let me just zoom in here, zoom in on the absence of trust first. So when we talk about absence of trust, talking about ultimately being vulnerable. You're asking your team to give you feedback, asking questions, but you want to build a sense of trust by creating an open and communicative environment where people can share their questions and ultimately get support and feedback from the team to move forward as a team. So trust is built up a number of ways. I have a course on the 5 steps of building out trust, and just to touch on a couple of those right now. The first one is asking questions. Don't assume that you know everything about that particular topic or aspect of the project. And even if you think you do, ask questions of others to get their input, because that shows that you're valuing other people's opinions. Giving opportunity for other people to talk around, giving them airspace. So when you have meetings or running meetings, make sure everyone has an opportunity to share their points of view and their questions. So if someone's not sharing their point of view, then just reach out to them and say, oh, hey, you didn't share in that meeting. Is there any way I can help you? And maybe they're just not comfortable in those types of meetings. So you can also get their points ahead of time and add them to the agenda. And that's another way for them to share their information with the team and share their points with the team. And then if also don't feel that you have to understand everything, and reinforce this with your team, a lot around the technical projects is we think we have to be the experts. We have to know everything. And the truth of the matter is we're not. We're never going to know everything. So being unafraid to ask if you don't understand something, even if you're in a meeting in front of senior management or a business sponsor, is just pausing for a moment to say, okay, can I just clarify my understanding of this, or can we just rephrase that because I'm not quite clear on the what we're talking about here, or can you help me understand that by explaining it in a different way? So there are ways to say I don't know without actually saying I don't know, but the goal is still the same. You want to better understand what's going on, and don't walk out of the room not knowing, because at the end of the day, that's going to come back to bite you, because at some point you will need to know what they talked about, or there might have been some value you could have added, but because you didn't understand what that was, you didn't get the opportunity. So always having that trust by asking questions, giving feedback is absolutely key. So then let's move on to the number 2 here, the inattention to team results. So this is twofold, actually. First is not paying attention to the results, but the second thing is actually not having results to measure against. So let's cover the first one there. So in terms of not paying attention to results, this is ultimately holding people accountable. You will need to have your high-performing team deliver to an outcome or output that you've agreed to. So that's making sure we track results, be it through a scheduled delivery, a cost, or deliverables from the team. Might be documents, might be a solution interface, websites, various things like that. But ultimately, we need to make sure that we're paying attention to those results, which comes on to the second point around making sure we actually have results to measure against. So this is where I love OKRs, objectives, and key results, because not only are we setting the objectives, we're also defining the key results that we need to achieve. Then you can hold your team accountable to those results and yourself, because you're setting results for project and yourself as well. And then you're paying attention. So that's the second point, is making sure we have those results and we're measuring that. Okay, let's move on to the third point around avoiding accountability. 1 second, just move back. Avoiding accountability. So this is one of my key topics for any project, any technology initiative, is clear accountability for everyone, including yourself. Going back to those onboarding points, we need to make sure that we have clear roles and responsibilities for everyone on the team. So the accountability is knowing exactly what someone is accountable for, so they have clarity, but then they have clarity of everyone else's accountability as well as and their roles and responsibilities. People then know how they fit in. They know what they can expect from each other. And this is absolutely key, because not only do you know what to expect, you're then creating a sense of ownership. You're creating a sense of worth because they have accountability for doing something. Now, I know a lot of people are scared of accountability. I've had some people actually avoid accountability. But in reality, having accountability makes everyone's job better. And if you've created the other of the 5 points around creating a supportive environment, then having accountability is actually a good thing, because you can help them achieve that accountability. So they're not on, just remember to let the team know that they're not on their own with this accountability. And then let's move on to the fourth one, which is the commitment or lack of commitment as one of the 5 dysfunctions. So a lack of commitment is when we're not, we're just going along for the ride. We're just saying yes to everything. We're agreeing with group decisions. And this is when, if we're not truly bought into committing to the goal, then that'll come across as feigning that accountability, and it doesn't ultimately drive the project forward. You'll probably achieve the result, but not as nearly as well if you don't fully buy in. So the question is, what stops people buying in? And that's often a personal question which you need to ask of the team member, where they're not perhaps bought in. Is ask them, say, hey, I'm just noticing that you're not fully bought into this, or you might be missing something on the goals here, and what questions do you have on it? So again, going back to the asking questions, creating a platform or different platforms for communication, is asking them how they can get buy-in. Maybe they're just not interested in the project, but then there must be aspects of the projects that they are interested in. So it's, yes, there are some aspects of our jobs which aren't the most exciting. I always like to use the phrase of everyone has to unload the dishwasher, because there's certain things that we have to do in life which aren't the most exciting, but we just have to do them. So there's always aspects of unloading the dishwasher in our day-to-day work. But there's also aspects of the project which I'm pretty sure that someone will be interested in. So maybe they love the aspect of the new technology around the user interface, or maybe they like the testing, or maybe they like interacting with the business partners and the customers more. So again, it's just understanding what that is, and then giving them opportunity to actually work through or work in those tasks, and then they can get more commitment, more buy-in to the project. Okay, so then let's move on to the fifth point, which is the fear of conflict. So I tackled this one last because this one's probably the most important, and myself included, I used to avoid conflict all the time, just from my upbringing and how I came through my career. Is I found that avoiding conflict, any sort of debate or question, was easier, but in reality, it created problems later on, because I wasn't getting the advancement and career development I wanted, because I was just avoiding any sort of a sign of conflict. And this results in what we call artificial harmony. So we think everything's good because everyone's just agreeing and smiling nicely and politely. Well, in reality, there's some problems boiling below the surface, which can become big problems. So I've been on project teams and technology projects where there's perhaps some questions around some of the solution, or maybe one of the test team is disengaged, and then it starts to create questions on the project. They start questioning the deadlines. They start questioning the solution, it starts to create rumblings of discomfort and misalignment throughout the project. So again, goes back to that, create an environment where constructive debate is encouraged. Get into those conversations, and the way to have constructive debate is to, again, ask questions. Don't dominate conversations. Don't let someone else dominate the conversations. Set some ground rules up front to say, there's this question on how we're going to solve this problem, how we're going to work through this. So let's have a discussion on it. It might get fairly passionate even, but just know and reassure people that the passion and the some of the emotion behind it is not a bad thing, as long as it's moderated, as long as it's fair, and as long as we get to a constructive output, then this can be a good thing. And again, some people are going to be more up for this than others. Some people like the conflict, they like the butting heads, they like the argumentative discussions. You might need to have a word with them just to say, let's have this in a constructive way for the people we're working with, because not everyone appreciates that style. So again, you as a leader are making sure you moderate that and making sure you're giving everyone the right amount of space to talk. So that's the fifth of the Patrick Lencioni's points around how to avoid a dysfunctional team. So working through these are going to help you become a leader of that dream team. And I love this because this really neatly captures a lot of the experience I've had around leading technology projects and technology initiatives. And these are absolutely key, because what you realize is it's not about the technology, it's about the people, because without the people, you don't have a technology solution. So next, I actually want to boil it down a little bit more into, and just to wrap this all together, is how do we make this real with a one-on-one meeting? How do you have great one-on-one meetings with your teams? So this is where over the years I've experimented with different ways of running one-on-one meetings, and most of them, there are some fairly standard ways of doing them, but there are a couple of key questions, number 4 especially, which I'm going to share with you today, which are really the icing on the cake in terms of how to run a really good one-on-one meeting. And the sneak peek is it's not about you, it's about them. So we'll get to that on point number 4. So how do you run a great one-on-one meeting? Well, it starts with the introductions. You're meeting people. Again, don't dive straight into the topic or the work related. Just understand how they are. Connect with them. Going back to building trust on a few previous points ago, first question around how you are, be interested in them, their well-being, what's going on in their lives. They connect with them on their family, their friends, just on their personal, what happened at the weekend. Might sound like a cliche for breaking the ice, but it's so important. Sometimes you have to keep this really short, and sometimes you don't do it at all, but set the expectation to say, hey, I know we want to catch up, but I really want to dig into this topic first. That's fine. You're giving that because it's important. But make sure you have time at least once a week, if not every 2 weeks, with your team to understand how they're going, what's going on in their lives. Because that will give you great insights on how to better lead them and ultimately how to help them. Then you start to get into the meat of the conversation. This is where we get into the goals for the week. So they'll be working on some tasks, back to the previously where we were talking about roles, responsibilities, having clear accountability and buy-in. So what they're working on, what are their goals for this week? Is it to complete that first draft of that document? Is it to ultimately finish the testing? Is it to roll out the first version to the customers to start their testing as well? So what are the goals for the week? How are they coming along? How are they working with that? And then more importantly, then you transition into point number 3, which is where do you need support? So you have their goals, back to their accountability, their results, but they can't achieve this on their own. So where do you need support? Might be nowhere for this week because they're running along well, or they might need support from not getting a response from another team. I've often seen examples where someone on the other team is not giving back what's needed of that. So I might have to step in and say, oh, hey, George was looking for some information here. Can you just respond to that? And then helping them move along with that information. So again, this is where we're starting to transition from about them into about how you can help them. So the second part of the meeting starts with where do you need support? And then number 4 is the golden question. So I love this question because we're asking them, what's the one thing I could do to improve leading you or the team? So there's 2 points there. One is It's asking about how you can lead the team better, asking for their personal feedback, and also asking how you can help the team lead the team better. So it's improving what I can do for you, but also what I can do for the team. So I love this question because not only is it asking them their opinion of me and my leadership and how we can improve, but it also asks them in a non-confrontational way, because you're also saying, is there any way I can lead the team better? So if someone's uncomfortable or doesn't have any specific feedback for you directly, you're also opening the opportunity for them to give feedback around a meeting that was run with everyone in the room, where they observed something I did that perhaps didn't go well with someone else in the team. So not only are you getting information about how they can be led better, you're also getting information about how you can run the project better, because you're getting feedback from them directly in situations which you might not have seen because you're too in the moment, you're too much in leading the actual meeting itself. So again, I love that question. It's sometimes uncomfortable to ask, but again, going back to building trust, asking questions, and our own personal development, getting feedback and information from the team is always really, really important for helping lead your dream team and building that really cohesive group of individuals coming together for that common goal of delivering that technology solution. So that was the great one-on-one meetings, which summarizes the whole the dysfunctions of the team, and then how do we set up that team for success in the first place. So what I want to do now is just wrap up with that, and thank you again for making time for attending today. We are a special group of technology project enthusiasts, and I'm here cheering you on. So as we continue to push, grow, scale out our knowledge and our businesses with technology, always reach out if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video.